I'm just trying to make it very clear, and when you start applying, it becomes a play and a fun. Karma yoga, we are doing action every day. So, karma yoga is basically an active form of engagement, and we become aware of our egoistic desire, reward seeking, and we say no. Internally, you think, okay, I'm doing it for the sake of doing, I'm doing it for the sake of Shiva, I'm doing it for the sake of purifying the mind. And so any action can be a purifier. Any action can be a purifier. So many people think that, is karma yoga, I have to drop many worldly responsibilities. Answer is no. No, one carries out all the duties with awareness and attention, with a proper attitude in the mind, without any anxiety. Why the anxiety is there? Because I'm seeking a result, about personal return. So what happens gradually? Every work becomes an offering. Every works, or you can simply think, even if it is a dry thinking, okay, I'm offering this work to Shiva. I'm offering this work to Shiva. And that is why I'm doing an action. So gradually what happens, there is an attitudinal change. How long it takes you to succeed in karma? No, I have to do it as long as I live, until the death. It's not a question of success, it's a question of attitude. That my attitude is merged in the Shiva or a higher consciousness where the ego is not the doer of an action. And that takes little time in the beginning, and once it is done, then you perform all your actions effortlessly. Now, then what happens if undesirable results come? I'm totally selfless and undesirable results come. That will definitely come because of your prarabdha. But what is this prarabdha? Prarabdha means that you have a saving account of $1 billion, and then you have a checking account of $10 million. So that very checking account is now is all the impressions, good and the bad, on which the current birth has taken place. So that checking account, good, bad, high karma, because you are born in a particular country with a particular parents, with a specific genetics, everything is to be exhausted in this. So it has been done. You cannot reverse it. Now then why I'm doing karma yoga? That saving account of those past impressions, conditioning. We will talk about there are four challenges that is present in the mind, and that causes lot of duality problems. They will be totally burnt. Why they will be totally burnt? Because I'm performing karma yoga now. I'm not digging from the past impression. But then what about my current birth? I was given a particular nose, so this nose cannot be changed. So the same thing, I have certain prarabdha, means certain favorable conditions, certain sins, certain virtues that I need to pass on. But what is going to happen if I do? The impact will be minimum. Impact will be minimum. But can we totally get rid of it? Answer is no. We have to face whatever is the genetics. How can you change the genetics? How can you change it? That is just an example of your genetics. But definitely, I minimize, even if there is a too much of pain because of the prarabdha, I minimize them. Why I minimize them? Because now I'm living at a higher consciousness level. They are not impacting me. And that is what happened. Ramakrishna had a cancer and he was laughing. So sometimes people say that, why Ramakrishna was enlightened and still he has a cancer. Obviously, the present birth. Present birth is already decided. Those karmas will be realized in this present birth. But now, from the saving account, because I have started doing the karma yoga, the saving account is now burnt. So you cannot have those in the next birth. So when you cannot have those in the next birth, it means you are not accumulating those impressions. Your mind is pure. And when your mind is pure, in that purified state of the mind, you reach to the higher state of consciousness. Can career ambitions and karma yoga coexist? Yes, it can coexist. And so people have a lot of doubts about it. No, it can coexist. So what is there, now, because your ego does not want to earn too much of wealth for the sake of pleasure. You want to earn the personal wealth for creating a value for a larger group. Done. So duty is used here. That is what the karma yoga helps us. So that is why we say the karma yoga is a spiritual practice rooted in the balance of the three gunas. Karma yoga takes us, our thought, our speech and action, from the tamasic guna to the rajasic guna to the sattvic guna. And the sattvic guna, the mind lives in the sattvic guna. It awakens to the inner peace and calmness. You have a pain. Sattvic guna recognizes the body has a pain, I don't have a pain. And then you also recognize it is coming from the prarabdha. So you have separated yourself. You develop an inner strength, inner calmness. It is bound to happen with everyone. And that is why we understand karma binds me, karma yoga liberates me. Now, the karma yoga does not have an identification with the body and the mind. It is not identifying with the ego, so that it makes me free. It minimizes the pain. I don't have a suffering, but yes, pain will continue because of the prarabdha. Or it will be minimized. So people have a wrong notion, false notion. They are ignorant. Oh, I have an extreme headache. I went to the doctor. My headache is gone. So karma yoga is going to remove the root of that headache, minimize the root, minimize the impact of that pain. We are not talking of the instant solution. We are not talking of the instant solution. I started eating salad 2 times, and gradually all the challenges of the body, because of the accumulated impressions of the past, is burnt. And it is going to help me. It is going to minimize the prarabdha if there is any problem in the body. But can that problem be completely eradicated? No. That is the seeker is learning. So at the root of it, what is happening, the seeker's attitude is changing. Its intention is changing behind every action. And that is what we say. Seeker's attitude is changing means, seeker's intention is changing means from selfishness to selflessness. Selfishness, likes and dislikes, attachment and aversion, ego, egoistic move. Why egoistic move? For the sake of rati. Do you remember? Rati, tripti and tushti. That is gone. So in every thought, speech and action, your mind is not manifesting the pattern of the ego. It is manifesting the pattern of harmony. That is what the teachers of the Eastern wisdom trying to convey this message. That external action, totally guided by the ego, attachment and detachment, is changed by the attitude in the mind. You are performing the same action outside. You are dropping your personal attachment. So when you're dropping your personal attachment, yesterday I was talking to this guy and he raised a very specific question. What was that question? I'll remember this. So Karma Yoga, teachings of the Karma Yoga explains that the binding effect of any action depends primarily on my intention and attitude. Rather than just performing the action. Means I think let me teach for the sake of expression of this knowledge from the Eastern wisdom. Let me explain as better as I can. So the motivation inside is changed. Motivation inside is changed. Think that attitude is of doing any activity has no content of attachment, detachment, ego. That is why the plants gives us the fruit. They don't have that ego. You cut the tree, it's okay. You pluck the fruits, it's okay. You get the rose flower, it's okay. But we attach importance to it through our ego, through our attachment, through seeking pleasure. Personal motivation is there. So basically in Karma Yoga, if we again go back and see, the master is talking about the attitude and consciousness. Attitude and the consciousness inside. 99%, if I use the word 99%, Karma Yoga is intellectual. 1% is physical. I see there is no disturbances in the consciousness. I see there is a mental attitude behind. Every thought, speech, and action is changed. So what happens? I break the identification. let me pass on this knowledge to the best of my ability. That is the primary motivation. Secondary motivation is also there. But the primary motivation should take over the selfish motivation. So gradually what happens, we start dropping the binding desires. My duty and the responsibility becomes a free expression rather than I am caught by the attachment and detachment. So you start enjoying your life. There is a sense of freedom in the mind. That is a sense of freedom. Why? Why karma yoga? Another answer. That all our actions, whether it's a thought, speech, or physical action, comes from deep inside. Deep inside. From deep inside, it springs either from the consciousness or it springs from the ego consciousness. So I recognize the ego consciousness and I shift it to the consciousness. No, I'm not the doer. Let the action be done. Personal identification is lost. And when the personal identification is lost, you instantly experience the joy. There is no selfishness there. When the selfishness is not there, the expectations is not there, the obsession is not there, the position is not there. My son's brother-in-law also lives with me. Yesterday we went to a restaurant to have a lunch. So now they both started talking, food from that restaurant is better, from this restaurant is better. No, that is very good. Today we did not. Now we will not go to this restaurant. I am totally attached. I have already eaten the food. Finished. I need not to think. Why I started thinking of comparison and duality? Because ego is working. But normally we do not notice. So it took us to return almost 30-40 minutes from the restaurant and the whole conversation was there. And that is how I create the impressions. It appear very so simple. Oh, let us do it, finished. So it's not a big deal. Selfless action and selfish action. It's not a big deal. I have to recognize it. Calm down. You have eaten for the sake of giving energy to the body, wherever you have eaten. Finished. Whether you did not like the taste or you like the taste, it is still going to produce the energy. So should I engage in conversation? Yes, by whom? Will not go. Will not come back. Yes, we are right. Finished. That is how we live in karma yoga all the time.
But real self don't need any action.
Real self. Yes.
Any action connected with my causal body, with the...
Yeah. Real self does not need any action. That is why we are dropping the identification with the body and the mind complex, so that the very I-ness dissolves completely and we are settled in the real self.
So any karma belongs to the body or material?
Yes, every karma belongs to the body and the mind complex, but until the realization takes place, I need to continue the karma yoga. So when the
So,
realization takes place, then there is nothing. So just in the previous session, it was a beautiful conversation on Saturday's session. So he was saying that now I have understood it. I have understood that body and the mind they are active, they are the changing identity. But then I asked that did I realize the real self? And the answer is no. And then I started asking what is preventing me to realize the real self. And then I discussed about it. There are 4 factors challenging our realization. What are the 4 factors? I don't have a total conviction on the teachings, because why there is no teaching, why there is no total conviction, because of the past impressions. They return back. I don't actually realize the very nature of the real self. There is a lot of doubt about it. Why there is a lot of doubt about it? Because I'm identifying with the body. I rely more on the physical perception. I rely more on the sensual perception. I rely more on what my eyes pass the information to my mind. That is the second level. That is why the Karma Yoga is important, because I'm still attached at a very subtler level. I don't rely more on the subtle perception in spite of the fact. What is the fact? In spite of the fact, without space, I cannot have my home. I rely more on my home than the space. My mind does not go to the subtler level of a perception. And what is a physical level of perception? There is a constant change. So the constant change is driven by the action. So there comes the Karma Yoga. I have to continue the Karma Yoga. Think. Just put the logic. Why I have so many distractions in my mind? Why my mind is not so focused once and for all for meditation? Why my mind falls into sleep? Why my mind goes into the Rajo and Tamoguna during the practice of meditation? It is because of the past impression. Past impression is nothing but the accumulation of my karma. Why the accumulation of my karma? Because I identify myself with it. So as long as all the identification is dropped, I cannot reach to that state, so that I should continue to the karma. We have a wonderful answer, because people do not like to go for a subtle perception. I told you, is this my house or it is only a space? It is only a space. But my mind returns back and it says, no, this is my house. It relies more on the physical perception. So when I rely on the physical perception, this is my home. So I rely on the physical perception, this is my body and mind complex. You don't remember, you don't recall it, but the impression is pushing you. Impression is pushing you. And that is why the Karma Yoga has to be done. Why the Karma Yoga has to be done? Because to dissolve that ego identification, let me go to the house, or I'm not going anywhere. It is everywhere there is a space. Space does not move. Oh, that is the nature of the real self. So real self does not move. I need to say that I am going to my house, but internally, am I aware of that? I'm not going anywhere. So I'm not going anywhere. There is no identification with the body and the mind. There is no question of the ego. So that state of Karma Yoga I have to reach. And that is why we need to change that attitude. Plus, so when we change the attitude, now think of the attitude. What is this attitude? I told you, attitude has 2 components. One is the cognitive component, that is thought. Other is the feeling and the emotion associated with the thought. It has two components. Attitude has two components. I am stressed. So the emotion associated with the stress and this statement that I'm in stress. I'm happy. Emotion of happiness plus the statement. Because now, forget about that. You never speak and you never know what do you mean by I am in stress and I'm happy. Even if there are many sensations pertaining to the stress and happiness, there is no attitude. Yes, there is no attitude. There is no attitude. But then what happens? Because my attitude is guided and dictated by the millions of the karma that I have performed in this life, past life, unconsciously, habitually, impulsively, instinctively. They trigger my mind and manifest in attitude. I need to erase that. I need to remove that, and that is where the secret of karma yoga lies. So we are going deeper, very deeper. That is where the secret of karma yoga lies. So I'm doing day by day. Did I wake up? Yes. Did I move to the kitchen? Yes. You moved to the kitchen. No, okay, yes. Why I moved to the kitchen to grab a cup of coffee? Give it. Yes, have it. But your attitude is now changed. You recognized it is because of the habit, and that is why I'm grabbing it. Oh, take it. Is basically a pragmatic approach, very practical approach. You see that primary level, nitya and the namitya karma. Then we came to the egoistic action of the doer. Doer is the ego. And then we went little subtler. Okay, from where this ego, identification of the body and the mind, but where the identification of the body and the mind has taken place, identification will only take place if I do my selfish action. But what is this selfish action? Everyone is selfish. No, we are not defining selfish action in what people feel. We say if your action is guided and dictated by attachment, strong likes and dislikes, greed and anger and obsession and possession, then it is a selfish action. So can you remove this attachment and detachment? Answer is yes. Go to the restaurant and you order the pasta that you like. Waiter says, no, we don't have the pasta, and you say, I will go to another restaurant. So you are already committed to perform a selfish action. You don't recognize that the food is for the sake of survival of the body. And the restaurant has many food. So let me have it. So through contemplation and reflection, you are getting rid of it. You see, from the nitya karma, namitya karma, to the ego, the doer, and ultimately you have come down to the attitude. The attitude says I have a strong likes and dislikes with a particular food, with a particular dress, with a particular car, with a particular makeup on the face. Okay. So I have to get rid of it. There is no particular. There is nothing that is spatial. Anything that is particular and spatial, it's because of the likes and dislikes. That is selfish action. So now, instead of a selfish action, I move to the unselfish action. How I move to the selfish action, I check. Is there a question of strong likes and dislikes? I use the word. Casually, go to the restaurant, whatever you like, you order it. But if it is not there, then your mind says, okay, I have to survive. What is the next option? Let me take it. So you don't create any impression in your mind. You don't deposit it. You don't accumulate it, because these impressions will form the karma in the next life or in the current life. Are you getting it? So it's a very subtle nature. That's why we are going subtler and subtler and subtler.
But so if I am doer, it's egoistic action. If doer is not me, it's
Yeah.
selfless action.
So yes, you got it. So what I'm trying to do intellectually and mentally, the doer, presence of the doer has to come with a body-mind complex, with the strong likes and dislikes, with an attitude of possession, with the rati, trapti, and trishti. And in the mind itself, through the intellect, I say, no, I do not belong to you. Based on that, I take an action. Finished. So even the nitya karma is done, the naimitya karma is done, doer is gone. The doer will only come into play if I have strong likes and dislikes. If I have a previous memories, only then I have strong likes and dislikes. But if I have a previous impression of strong likes and dislikes, I have an attitude of possession. So who has an attitude of possession? The desirer. And who is the desirer? That is the ego. You have the resources, so get the luxury class and fly. No, I want to show to the people that I fly luxury classes. Now it is, one is selfish action and other is unselfish action. Outer action is the same. You still fly the luxury class, for example. And that is where the comparison of the Lord Janaka was a king and he was a great yogi. He was a great yogi. So Kabir was living in a cottage, weaving the cloth every day and selling outside. He was a yogi. So you see, the idea of that selfish and unselfishness lives in the mind itself. I get rid of that. So Kabir was living in the same state of happiness as Janaka was living. What a great concept in the principle that we need to understand it clearly and apply in our life. So at every moment you are free. Why you are free? The doership is not there. Doership is not. You know, one guy who does not have two kidneys for the last 18 years. He is a great enlightened figure. Nowadays, when I look at him on the YouTube, he entered into that state of, oh, and the way he spoke spontaneously. So people ask him that, why don't you treat your kidneys? This is prarabdha. What should I do? But do you think that I am suffering? Answer is no. I'm not suffering at all. You see me with the body-mind complex, but now I'm the real self. Who cares? Kidney lives or not? He undergoes a dialysis. I'm not going to ask the Shiva to correct my kidneys. Why should I ask? Why? Because that kidney belongs to the Shiva, body-mind belongs to the Shiva. I should not say this. So you see, the selfish action and unselfish action comes here. It has to do with identification with the body. When there is an identification, there is a likes and dislikes, there is an obsession, there is a possession, there is a delusion, and all the problems. Karma yoga, that is why we say it's a pragmatic, practical approach. Are you not taking the treatment for the body? Yes, you are taking the treatment. Survival of the body is required for the manifestation of the consciousness. Are you selfish if you are attached to the body while taking a treatment? Are you totally unselfish while taking the treatment of the body? There is no identification with the body. He spoke 100 times that let this body should go. Who cares? So we may have a wrong thought that then don't take treatment of the That is not your business. You may say that don't go to restroom. Why shouldn't I go to restroom? I should follow the nature's laws. But am I still free? Yes, I'm free. I'm free. So normally people understand karma yoga in a very simple, easy way. Oh, let me do the karma. I should not be worried about the result. You are doing karma. No, you are not doing karma yoga. That is the basic thing that you feel. So what happens, So when you are doing the karma yoga, the equanimity is there. Mental state. I gave an example. You are into the peace before action, before thinking, before speaking, during the thinking, during the speaking, during an action, after the thinking, after speaking, and after action. Check again and again for after every, before, during, and after every action. Something in deep inside remain as it is. It does not change. It is not impacted. It is not affected. Then ask yourself, what is that not impacted, affected, dictated? Instead of ego, it is the real self. It is the real self. It is that real self, which is independent. Why you are able to experience? Because you have purified the mind. So even by karma yoga, we may have glimpses. So on the other side, you see that it loosens the bonds of ego identification, and this desire is gone. Think. So just look at the contemplation. Main fruits of practicing karma yoga means suffering is reduced. That very feeling that is associated with the attitude coming from the past impressions in the karma has gone. Your egoistic motivations are dissolved. When your egoistic motivations have dissolved, anxiety is gone. Reaction is gone. Because they are gone, the mind continues to experience the same state before, during, and after. We experience the equanimity and stability of the mind. What is equanimity and stability of the mind? It is a high level of purity of the mind. That is why the Gita teaches, do you understand Rati, Tripti, and Tusti? Yes, I have understood. It comes because of your selfish action. So why it is a selfish action? Because the ego is behind. Why the ego is behind? Because of strong likes and dislikes, attachment to it. But now they are not there. So the Master Krishna says that, are you attached to action? Get rid of this attachment by changing the attitude. Are you attached to the fruit of an action? Result of an action? Get rid of it. So the equanimity takes over. So that is the meaning of performing an action selflessly. That is the meaning of selfless action. That is the meaning of selfish action. Go to the restaurant and I order the food. Oh, you have been very selfish. Yes, I am very selfish. Body needs to survive. You will not understand. So there are a lot of contradictions that we see outside, but inner contradiction is not there. I have to see whether the inner contradiction is there or not. There is no inner contradiction. You are free. Minimum 10, even the 10 masters, and thousands of people challenged Janaka. But when ultimately they were defeated because they checked, rechecked, they examined, they re examined his lifestyle, his responses in different situations. Swami Sadananda used to be the minister in the cabinet of Janaka. Think. So you just sit down, contemplate, and reflect. And I can bet you simple thing. Before you take a glass of water, check your mind, check your attitude. Do it. Life is going to change instantly. You will have a sense of freedom. You are a seeker, it becomes not very difficult to talk about it, but to explain these concepts, I need almost 30 to 40 sessions starting from the beginning. I'm an action, I'm a rich guy. This guy who has filed now is filing the bankruptcy.
But really, the body-mind complex have everything to realize karma automatically. So the body and mind don't need me to act.
Yeah. Body and mind need me to act because I'm identified with the body and the mind. The moment identification is there, so I have those accumulated karma that is already present is going to trigger me to perform an action.
So as you act when you are hungry, you're taking some food. So any action have to be like this, even in the office, even in the family, even in everything.
Yeah, in the intellect, you are very clear you are feeding the body, you are not feeding yourself. So the ego identification is not there. So you recognize this is a separate body mind complex, you negate it. It is a separate. In every thought, speech, and action, you negate this is not me. This is, yes, this is for the body, this is for the mind. But when I say this is for me, selfish action, because I'm already attached to the body. This is for the sake of the body. You start saying mentally, you start becoming aware of the body. Do you meet hunger or does your body meet? And body needs energy, not you. And we have experienced hundreds of times when your mind is totally absorbed in doing some activity and you did not take your breakfast, your lunch, and dinner, you return home and you are still happy. But when you are attached, then only you feel hungry. Then only you feel hungry. It's our daily experience. Oh, it means I have to change my attitude. Answer is yes. What is this attitude? Attitude has two components. One is the thought component, by which I recognize, and the other is the emotional content. So those emotions are taken over by the attachment and detachment, likes and dislikes. So obviously, I have ego. We are talking of that ego. We are not talking of ego that you are arrogant or you are not arrogant. That is a social ego we are talking about. It has nothing to do with our ego, what we are saying. Identification. We are not talking of that ego, you are arrogant or you are not arrogant. Krishna was highly arrogant. He told Arjuna, fight. What the heck you are doing? Kill them. So Sasha was saying that, I don't believe in Krishna because he was totally violent. Come on, first you have to understand the principle of violence. What Krishna is saying, the same thing Buddha is saying. So the moment I talk about the violence, I'm talking about the body-mind complex. Where is the violence and non-violence in real self?
But choice what to believe and what not believe to Krishna, to Buddha, it's also kind of ego.
It's a big ego. It's a big ego. Belief and culture. My past impressions forms my attitude, and those past impressions has lot of belief. It contains those beliefs. It triggers me to act in a certain way. You are right. Yes, my belief. And so why should I believe you, Krishna? Because you are passing on this knowledge. Why should I believe you, Buddha? Because you are passing on the knowledge. So I am not looking what you do. I am just looking what knowledge you pass on to me. So first let me apply the knowledge, reach to that state, and then I will talk about your behavior and action. Buddha said, don't believe me because many people follow me. No, but I believe it. So I create another selfish motivation inside my head. I compare it with other people. It took me almost 2 years to minimize his problems of belief. Now he doesn't talk. Initially, he used to raise a lot of questions. Karma binds, causes the suffering. I have to remember this again and again in all my actions. Until I wake up in the morning in freedom, I sleep in freedom, I eat in freedom, I talk in freedom, I think in freedom. Freedom, unselfish action. We are talking of that unselfish action. You eat your spinach, you eat your vegetable, you have eaten millions of microbes and that is going into your belly. Are you not doing violence? But I'm doing violence with reference to the body and the mind complex. So I have a strong belief that I'm the body and the mind and I'm committing a violence. Then live hungry and die your own death. Maximum your body lives for 40, 50 days without food. And I don't have an answer. So habits, attachment, accumulated impressions, they are working through this body, mind, and complex from the causal level, it enters into the subtle level that is the mind, and that mind lives in these impressions. I have to delete all these impressions. Shift and delete is karma yoga. Shift from selfish action to unselfish action. So let those impressions dry out and burn themselves. We carried impressions from our childhood. And it is shaped by my past impressions of the past birth. We have some addictive impulses with the food, with the clothes, with the car, etc. We have anger and hesitation issues. We have anxiety pattern. Some people get into anxiety on small things, other people get into anxiety on the other things. It is because of the past impressions that are coming. So we have to understand it clearly. It is the past impressions or past karma or vasanas, or you can say sanskaras. That is causing the trauma and the anxiety and the reaction and the duality and the conflict. It takes the shape of a binding desire because I have a habit of following the same path, and it creates a cognitive bias. So now those trigger in the mind, finding certain situation, that is what the attitude is. And I lose my awareness of that attitude, which causes the problem. Why should I have a reaction to a particular food? Because of my past impression. It is my attitude. So instead of reacting, and I say, is other food available? Yes, it is other food available. Let me have it. So what people normally mistake, oh no, 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 now this food I have to take anyhow because I'm a yogi. No, you are creating further impressions. Take it easy, become aware, clear your selfish action.
Right.
It is the self-awareness. You live in self-awareness. Already there is an attitudinal change. I live in ego awareness, there is no change in that. My ego awareness says, oh, I got it, let me suppress my desire and eat because I don't like it. You are creating further impression. Ultimately, at a higher level, it is so simple. You are living in self awareness or you are living in ego. It is so simple. Think. We have to think to know. And when you realize through the thought that you know, okay, and now I realize, mind, you are creating this problem to me. There is too much salt in a food. Take another example. Your sense organ says there is too much of salt, but there is no reaction, and you keep on eating. Let me have this energy today. Finished. Food is finished. How long you felt too much of salt? 10 minutes. You took a glass of water, it is gone. There is no reaction in the mind. Take it. Finished. I tried this many a times for many years. So I will stop the recording and then I will tell you